Hope not. Okay, so we're going to finish Be'ez Hashem the Maimah today. Eileh Tefillah Shemaim Va'aretz. We're up to Ein Ches, the paragraph beginning Uvadugma Kozais Yuvon Bebechinas Chachmei Eileh. I'm not going to give a summary. You can listen back to the previous shurim, and you should be up to speed. Yeah. Let's jump straight in. Uvadugma Kozais Yuvon Bebechinas Chachma Lamayla. So, by way of example, this can be understood how things manifest Lamayla. So, we were saying how in Avodah that a person can be he can be in a state where there's a tefisas mokim lemanagid. There's a tefisas mokim to alternative perspectives and realities, to the point where you can get frustrated and angry with things that are opposing ideas. But if you can reach an Avodah, a state where you enter into a sort of an awareness which is deeper, more profound, which transcends your obsession with yourself and how the things relate to you, but how the thing is as it is for itself, and not how it's so much bound up in my identity, then the person can transcend all of those issues of anger and frustration and intolerance. So similarly, Lamaila, when we look at the Spheres Lamaila in Atzilus, Chochmah plays this role. Shesham Meir Gilu Oy. In Chochmah of Atzilus, there is the Gilu Oy. V'sham hu bechinas ma, bechinas bitul b'tachlis. And there you have Chochmah Kayach Ma, the in the Bittul. In Chochmah Vatzilus. Tachlis HaBittul. Ulazais le'yispol me'hamanag le'yisbedin v'reges alav. Then it comes to Atzilus, the Madrega of Chochmah Vatzilus doesn't have a Tfisas Mokim for the Menagid. The Menagid doesn't interfere, object to it. It's an irrelevancy. Al derech she'amar Moshe, which is like what Moshe says, that when Hashem wanted to punish the Yidden in the Chet HaMeraglim, Moshe Rabbeinu said people are going to start saying the Eibishter wasn't able to take care of the people. There's a Tfisas Mokim. When the Eibishter wanted to punish the Yidden, it means there was a Tfisas Mokim for them being menagid to Alakus. Their anhogah, their behavior, was a reason for them to be punished. Means there was a tfisas mokim lemenagid. Right? So Moshe Rabbeinu was saying, "Va'ata yigdol no keich adnai." Let there be a hagdola in the keich adnai. So in adnai is a reference to the way the Eibush is manigas ha'olam, adnus, malchus, zol malchus, yeah. The anhogas ha'olam is spheres bechlal, anhoga b'in almin. The purpose of spheres is to be manigas ha'olam. So there's a tefisas mokim for olam. So Moshe Rabbeinu va'ata yigdol no keich adnai. Let there be a hagdola, and when there's a hagdola, then there can be a slichus avinus. Then you can forgive everyone. Dahainu hamshachas meichen de gadlus. The objective, the goal was it should be hamshachas meichen de gadlus. Meichen de gadlus, it means chachma. And then, when there's this hagdola in keich adnai, there's a gilu keich chachma, which is gilu oy. There's no tefisas mokim lemenagid, and then the Eibusha can forgive everyone. Not only can he forgive them, there's nothing to forgive bichlal, because it's not tefisas mokim. That's such a forgiveness, as if it's oikamei kara. You completely uproot the very notion that there was anything wrong in the first place. And where does this hamshacha come from? We were saying before it's from Chachma, but really it's from Atik. Chachma, we say, repeat many times, the famous Hagah in Tanya of what is Chachma? Chachma is Meir, Ein Seif. Where Hu Levadi Hu Ve'in Zulase. Right? And that is the Gilui. In Chachma is the Gilui, the Ein of Keser. You have this Gilui in Chachma. So everything we were saying now about Chachma, really, it's a reference to Amshacha from Atik. Or like it says in Shmuel. kel deis havaya, v'loi nisknu alilis. So the context over there, and it's negaya here, the context as well. So the Abish, basically the warning of the Navi is that people should not be haughty, people should not be talking nonsense.
What does niskanu alilis?
You're going to see. Kel deis havaya, the Abishter is an Abishter of machshava. Deis his machshavas, meaning that he knows what's going on. He's a yedei machshavas. Kel deis havaya. So he knows everything that's going on with you. V'loi niskunu alilis. Spelled there with an aleph. The aleph is the ksiv. However, v'loi kri. It's the kri is with a vav. So the way the pshat with the kri, so the pashta pshat is v'loi niskunu alilis, and to him is counted all the deeds. All the deeds are counted. Nifal, right? Niskunu alilis. So, and deeds here we mean bad deeds, right? So v'loi nisknu alilis, and to him is counted all the deeds. But the point is that is only the kri. In the ksiv it says v'loi nisknu alilis. The bad deeds are not counted. So when it's in loy with a vav, it's referring to one aspect of elikus where everything is teifus makim. And in the ksiv, it's written with an aleph, which is a reference to the way it is in a madrega and elikus, where things aren't teifus makim, a high madrega. Yeah. Upirush be'edra zuta, dafri sadik beis amad beis, shebatika kadisha v'loy niskanu ba'aleph. In Attic, it should be read. That's where the ksiv comes from, is the loy with an aleph. That nothing is counted. None of the bad deeds are counted in Attic. Why? The hakuli rav chesed. Because in Attic everything is good. Is goodness and kindness. V'lei smaller b'hayatik, and like we say, there's no leftness in Attic. There's no gvura.
Kel deis refers to Attic.
We're not referring to the Kel deis aspect. Kel deis, go back to the Yemash Mini Atzeres, you have the beer of Kel deis. Kel deis, das and das tachtim.
No, right, but we see kel deis havaya v'loi niskanu alilis. Then we see that the loi niskanu alilis must be referring to a diagram called Attic.
When it's with an aleph. With a vav, it's not.
Because the
things aren't taken.
exactly.
She's saying if the type of Kel deis, depends what Kel deis is.
If kel deis doesn't mean Attic,
if we're following the pashta pshat, that the Eibishter is machshiv, what people are is choshev, and therefore machshiv what people are doing, then yeah, it's not. It's talking about Allah. It's talking about a diagram in elikus, which is natzilus, where things are teifus makim.
Right. So you see, like the kel deis is in a way an intro for then to be either the loy or the loy with an aleph with a vav, then split off. So
yeah,
2 days, right?
Well, no, I don't know. There's two different
ways of looking at it.
No, there's different hasbaras. When we're talking about Kel deis havaya, like we didn't be much from the Atzeres, das elin, das tachtim. We gave we hold the whole variations what that can be. Das elin can be in Atzilus, and das tachtim can be in Bia. Das elin can be in Erin Seichel Ifnei Atzimtzum, and das tachtim can be in Erin Seichel Achar Atzimtzum.
Right.
Expensive woman. In that context, but we can't bring them into the same at the present moment. We can't bring them into the same conversation.
If so, what's the context? Like how would this fit in the context? To say that the Yonid Kalalilis refers to Attic not being machshiv Averus.
Oh, you're saying how do you also? Well, I see what you're saying.
If you can isolate the verse, then okay, but it's not isolated.
I won't worry about it.
Okay. Forget about it.
I'm saying the mime is not doing it for you. I won't worry about it. The emphasis here is to bring this pirush from the Idrazutza, how in Attic there is this notion of there not being any tefisas mokim for chet and oven, which is similar to the union of ba'at yigdolna kech adnai, right?
It's not much of a warning.
Right, yeah. mitzad the Navi. Well, it also says a big achrayis. As you'll see, it's not one or the other. The whole point here is about shittat midas harachim, midas adin. We're gonna have our cake and eat it. Be'ezus Hashem. So it is important to know that we're not just talking about a situation of tfisas makim, not tfisas. We're talking. It's much more demanding when you're in a metzias where you're talking about something where you're not even tfisas makim. Demands a deeper level of bittul. It is a warning. It's for sure, it's nice horror.
Because you have to be bottled to receive this fluid credit.
Yeah, the impact of that is it could be even greater. I don't think it does serve as a warning. But the Bapoil, that's not the Kri. The Kri meaning the Gilui of it. Oh wait, the Kri is the Gilui of the Pasuk, and the Ksiv is the Helam of the Pasuk. So underlying everything, there is this awareness that there's a Madrega where things aren't Tifas Makim. So Nimtza. So what's the conclusion of this? The Sheirish Midas Rachamim Umidas Hadin Hu Inyin Atika Kadisha V'Zah. So according to this Pshat, the Sheirish of Midas Hadin is, like we said, the Gevuris of Zah, through the bit. Well, we said Bina as well, right? But Bina meaning the Aim Habonim Bina as the Sheirish Hazah, that through the Tzimtzumim, through these Tzimtzumim, it causes that there should be Midas that is the Midas Hadin, and that causes the existence of the Klippos. And Midas Harachamim, here is the Pshat, Atik. If you have the Gilu, Midas Harachamim, that overcomes that, right? There's not the Tfisas Makom Lechet. Lefi Shachachma Bekabelas Miatika Kadisha, which of course with the roots of Dafra Sadik that Toledot with Aleph, Binyan Reishis, came Be'ei Pnei Melachayim, Be'ein Shom Mechinas Adin. So when there's the Gilu of Chachma, what happens is there's no Metzias Adin. V'zeu inyan shituf midas harachamim b'yei masais havaya elikim ki havaya b'chachma chuli. And that is what we mean when we say shituf midas harachamim. V'alkein ayidei zeh mispatlim shluchi adin de gimel klippis. Here we're talking according to the first pshat, where the shluchi hadin of are the when Hashem is medaktik. When you have midas hadin like the first pshat in Shuvi Yisrael, Hashem is medaktik with everyone. Therefore, everyone has to be in constant fear of being punished, and there has to be things. Therefore, that from that evolves things that get a geschmack out of causing pain and suffering. The shluchi hadin. But when you have that's if the world was created midas hadin, and you'd have the shluchi din, which would be a big problem. The midas hadin serves to be the source of all evil, which is a problem. And then if you have shit of midas harachamim, you're able to destroy all of the shluchidin. Shem toyu v'voyu v'cheshech. Like we explained, yeah. Bereshis bar likim, and there was toyu v'voyu v'cheshech. Shenikosam rak midas hadin kanal. They get their unika from midas hadin, from elikim. Like we said, that's what bina is. That from bina can emerge dinim. When you have the gilu shem havaya, then you don't have any of this anger and intolerance. There's no longer mishlochi adin.
So, since Kasser is Meir and Chachma, would that mean that the inyan of less smaller Bahati could also kind of apply to Chachma?
Yeah. Well, or it's niska, that inyan is niskal in Chachma.
And therefore the whole thing
That's
about...
why Chachma is on the Tzad Yamin. Tzad Yamin, yeah. Chachma Chesed,
that's why She'en Sham Chanetim V'Regas and Chachma.
Yeah. But we move beyond Chachma in a sense. Well, we've got Havaya b'Chachma, that's Havaya Likim, but it's when we say Chachma, we mean the Chachma as a Gilui of Atik. Because in Atik, they smaller by Atika. So we sort of, this is all according to the first pshat, according to Shuv Yisrael, that you have a Yibishter wanted to create the world Midas Adin. Why did he want to create the world Midas Adin? Because he wanted people to be obedient, and he wanted people to have Shleimus Haveda, and he wanted there to be the most awesome hemshekh. The three things that I mentioned at the beginning of Shuv Yisrael. In this Maimah, it's bringing out the fact that in order for that to be real, you have to have Shluchei Adin. You have to have people. You have to have a metzias of something that is going to pull off the punishments that people are going to deserve if they are disobedient. Otherwise, it's an empty threat. And so we asked, but 1 second. Midas Hadin is Gevura of Atzilus, right? And even now we're talking about Bina of Atzilus. From Bina, you also get the. How can it be that from such a madrega can be nishtalshal things that are bad? So we explained that just like in a person, the mashal we gave of the person who davens about Avodah, it's av and yirat olikus. At the same time, there's a tfisas mokim to a menagid, and there can be anger and frustration. So from that can emanate a midah of anger and intolerance. So similarly, the midas hadin of atzilus, which in and of itself is kedusha, right? The unintended consequence of that midah is the nesinas mokim for klippa, for toyu, vayu, and cheshech of shluchei hadin. So therefore, since Rosh Hashanah Eileh Yochel is kaim, shitavim midas harachamim. Midas harachamim is a gilui of a madrega elyoina. The madrega elyoina is where there isn't a tefisas mokim to there isn't a tefisas mokim to the menagid. And what that does, that in the intensity of that gilu oir, removes the chayas to the clippers. The clippers are only able to get a chayas. Why? Because they're coming from a madrega where there is a tefisas mokim, which we explained in the mashal is the bina, is the isponanus, and the avenira. So lamaida is the same thing. There's a certain yeshus, a degree. I mean, we're talking in ruchnis, in kedusha, but a degree of yeshus in bina and zah, which there isn't in chachma. Chachma is tachlis habitul, but where there's already a particular yeshus, the inyan of yeshus is that there is something else besides for me. Just like if I exist, then there's a extent to my metzius. Again, when we're talking in kedusha, we're talking about in Eileh, but the tfisas mokim for a zulas is inherent to the very idea of the spheres of bin and zah. But in chachma is tachlis habitul. So once you be megale, once you have the gilu eir of the tachlis habitul of chachma, then that it overcomes, it overwhelms, it overrides the problems that come from midas hadin. When you have yom asayis habaya elikim, you now no longer have a tolerance, not even a tolerance. You don't. There's no tefisas mokim. So if there's no tefisas mokim for the ra, for the menagid, then it's got no way of maintaining it. So
does it not exist then?
So you're going to see. We've said before, there has to exist, but it can exist as a supportive thing. Klippa can exist. We said the klippa can be like shomer lepri. Ein dalet. They can exist, but they can be bottled to kedusha, and it can be a shomer lepri. You need to have clippers in order to protect the pri. A shell protects the fruit, the nut, whatever it is inside. The peel protects the fruit, but they don't have they don't have their own motives which are hepech kedusha in that instance. So we're not talking about the obliteration of shluchei adin, which is we're obliterating the opportunity for them to be menaged to alikus. But when there's a gilui of chachma, they can't be. They're not going to be functioning in a way that they're menaged to alikus.
Surely the marshal doesn't really add up so well to the nimshot, because
Which marshal?
the marshal of the person who like is studying Hashem but then gets upset with people who don't.
Mm-hmm.
Because the reason why he gets upset with somebody else is because he has nefesh Bahamas.
No,
It's not from his nefesh Lekis.
it is from his nefesh.
It's a midoral though.
It's nishtalshul from his nefesh lekis. That's the not from bina. Bina. The bina mina dinim is arim b'seifa. The dinim.
It's not as easy as a horror happening around
No.
opportunity.
No,
Okay, so
it's the yeshus in his aveda. There's it's the shadish of the kas and the regis is in kedusha.
how can the nefesh Lekis have a midoral?
It doesn't. It's the shadish of a midrash.
The midoral itself isn't kedusha.
No, of course not. But it's
Kedusha.
mushrosh. It's originating kedusha. It's stimulating
So he
kedusha.
says that's the case, but how is that the case?
Hmm?
The Rosh Hashanah says that is the case. Where was
Because
that?
that's the nature of yeshus. Even in kedusha, you have yeshus. That's what he was saying. In avodah, the person is engaged in his spontaneous and avodah. Part of that process is focusing on the self. It accentuates the person's yeshus.
So to go from Atik, which is less small about Hatika, to go to Chochma and Bina, whatever, which is already the Dargan Yeshus.
It's a tzimtzum, right? Through tzimtzumim, these things become more and more plausible. But what we're saying now is we have a gilui from an Eileh Elyon. If we have a gilui from Chachma, then what that would do is it will change the balance. Till now, Bereshis Bar Elikim, you just have Midas Hadin. In Midas Hadin, for all of its Kedusha, Shebedava, Bina and Zalav Atzilus, there's still Shirish and a Mokke for Shluchei Adin for Ra, according to the first Pshat. And it's still talking in Shavi Yisrael, right?
With the Gilei of Chochma.
That changes the balance of things. Changes the balance. Now, instead of Hashem saying, I'm going to create the world with Midas Adin, Bereshis Bar Elikim, now, B'yem Osei Savaya Elikim, I'm going to have a shit of Midas Arachamim. There's going to be a Gilui from an Eileh Elyon, Chachma, and even deeper from Atik. And what that's going to do is going to change the balance of things. So it's no longer going to be exclusive Midas Din. If it was Midas Din alone, then you'd have a dangerous situation of marauding clippers all over the place. Toyu, Vayu, and Cheshach.
And how do they both work in complementary manner?
Okay, that's the rest of the hemshekh. And to an extent, we're going to say a little bit now. But yes, that is the ultimate question. Are we saying that these are two oppositional forces, and by bringing in Midas Harachamim, we're watering down Midas Hadin? Are we basically neutering it? Are we neutralizing Midas Hadin?
Or do they function at different times?
Yeah. What does it mean shittuf? We haven't explained what the shittuf aspect of it is. What is the combination? We're going to say a little bit now about what the combinational dynamics of it, but that's going to be the fundamental question going forward. How do these two things function in tandem with each other? Yeah.
If you go back to the original Moshe and the Medrash, then hot water does weaken cold water.
And vice versa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
from the moshel itself, you would think it's just
Teaming.
We're gonna, but that is an element of it. We're gonna obviously go further and deeper than that. Like, do we, is the gilui of Avaya here? Is it just a matter of we still want to create the one Midas Hadin, and all of the milas that come with Midas Hadin, which we described in the three Maimorim of Shuv Yisrael, Lubarov, and Yimashni Atzeres,
Yeah.
and why Hashem. And we realize that it's you can't get all of those benefits in their best in their ideal form because of all of the down the negative things that come out of it. So we're going to have it in a sort of a watered down version. We're going to still have the same project, the project of Midas Adin. We're just now going to have it in a way that it's a little bit more durable. Just like what we said before. We said before that what is Midas Harachamim? We said it was Torah mitzvahs, right? Midas Harachamim is the pshat gilu of Torah mitzvahs. Make it easier, make it more achievable. We still want the same thing that we originally wanted. Livres ha'elam with Midas Adin. But now we're going to do it in a sort of you might say a longer, shorter way. That's one way of looking at it. Or is Midas Harachamim actually redefining the whole purpose of existence? Is there's lots of options, and this is going to be what we're going to be koching in for the last two Maimorim, which are longer and harder, but we're going to do a little bit of we'll start off with one suggestion over here now. Okay, paragraph beginning v'lachein Eileh Toledot chuli b'yom haseis havaya likim chuli poseles harishonim shem toyu b'avoyu v'cheshach chuli. So therefore, this is what it means when it says in the Medrash about when it says Eileh poseles harishonim, that through b'yom haseis havaya likim, through creating the world with a shittuf of havaya likim shittuf midas adim zarachamim, what that caused was a bittul of what was Rishonim. What were the Rishonim? Tova Yevachesha, the Klippus. V'zeu lefi Pirush Harishon. And that is all according to the first pshat in Shuv Yisrael. Sha'ala b'machshava livnus adin hainu ledaktek imohem, she'nimshech m'bechinas midas hadin, bechinas bina v'zah, v'ayidei ze nasim, shluchi adin, she'en gevulis koshis, the gimel Klippus atmeis, gimel Klippus la'anish chuli, v'ayidei shittuf midas arachmim, bechinas atika kadisha v'chachma, she'ena managit tevis mokim, v'loi niskunu ba'alef, v'ayidei ze mispatim, shluchi adin chuli. Okay, that's the summary of what we just said. Did you grasp that summary what I just read? Did that summarize what you thought you'd learnt?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So that is a very clear statement of the order of the argument. Yeah, according to the Eshta Pshat, the Pshat of Shuv Yisrael, or the Pirush Abdeis, and according to the second Pshat, here he gives again a good summary of the second Pshat. Shemachmes midas hadin v'hester v'hatzimsum yesh lam yunika, through there being a hester. What happens is when there's a shit of midas harachamim, then the clippers are not able to be makabel yunika, because when there's shit of midas harachamim, there's a gilu shem havaya einam yechilim makabel. The chamokim shemei gilu eir ein mokim lera. Wherever there's a gilu eir, then there is no opportunity for the ra to be makabel. She'enam yechilim makabel misham. Where they makabel from dafka, where there is a tzimtzum. Where there's a gilu eir, they're not. That's why it was necessary, in order for there to be the Oisis Hadibur of Malchus Atzilus was able to be Malbish and Mailimul Masdil on the Erev Atzilus. That was through the Tzimtzum Eir Mitzadin. Kaved Malchus Chiyemeiru V'Raskri Dabeiru. Ki Im Nimshach Eir L'Mokim Aroi Davke. They're not able to be Makabel when there's the Gilu Eir. What happens instead is the Eir goes to where it's supposed to go. V'Aina B'Mokim HaBittul. Where there's bittul, where there's the kli ra'ui, where the keli is suited to that oy, that's where the oy goes to, where the gilu goes to. Masha enki mishu yesh ve'einei bottle But somebody or something which is a yesh and lacks bittul, ubifrat haklipus vasitrachim, but tachlis hayesh vapir lagamri. When we're talking about klipus, we're talking about an absolute degree of yeshrus and pirut, to the extent of ein ani v'hu yechilim nodu. What do we say? That the Eibush is incapable of residing in that place. And like it says in the Gemara, ein adam dar chuli. There it says a person won't live in the same basket as a snake. It's talking there about if somebody has a wife who makes vows that she doesn't keep, about ways of resolving it. So they suggest a resolution of resolving, and so the Gemara says, but ein adam dar bekvafa im nachash. No one's gonna. You can't just remedy the situation by trying to fix it, by fixing the symptoms of the problem. You have to solve the problem itself. No, but it's just a turn of phrase. But you have ein adam dar. The Eibusha can't. The Elikus, the Shem Havaya, is not able to be mayor in a place where you have something which is menagid, which is an opponent, which is klippa. The zel.
The klippas do receive from the Kavamid a certain amount of chayos.
Only that which is necessary
So
for them to be, for them to do their job.
So they must have a certain little to be able to receive that.
A different pasha. Not now. We can talk about it afterwards. It will take us time. The Zel Eileh told us Chuli Posler Surishim. So this is the pshat of the Medrash that is the basis of our Maimah, according to the second pshat. That when there is the Gilu of Shem Havaya, so when you get the B'yem Aseis Havaya Likim, what that is Posler Surishim. It gets rid of the Toledot and hemshekh, because they're no longer able to be yonik, because the Eir is not b'tzumtzum anymore. There's more of a gilui. So here Midas Hadin is Halam v'Hester. Beforehand, in the according to the Ashta Pshat, Midas Hadin was the Eibush being medactic. Here it's talking about Halam v'Hester. Both instances there can be the unintended consequence is the expansion of the realm of Klippa and Gimel Klips Atmeis, Toledot and hemshekh. And through the B'yem Aseis Havaya Likim, the Shituf Mitzvah Rachim, the Gilu Shem Havaya, that sort of cuts off their chayas in different ways. Depends according to which pshat you're going. If you're going to go to the first pshat, according to the second pshat. V'agam shnispoile ilda yidei meichin the gadlus the chachma ein tifes mokin. V'yochel lis v'gamis amenagid. V'eicha yidei the apostle. So that you would think, what did we say before? What was the difference between bina and zah and chachma? In bina and zah, there's a tefisas mokin for the menagid, and that's why there's shluchidin. And through the gilui of chachma, where there isn't a tefisas mokin the menagid, therefore they're not able to have a makabel anything. Now we're saying under the second pshat that when you have the Gilu Shem Havaya, all of a sudden they're not able to be makabel. It doesn't help. But if the Gilu Shem Havaya doesn't care less whether it's not, there's no tefisas makom menagid, why can't it be makabel? Chachma doesn't differentiate. Imidas arachmim, everyone gets. Yeah? You understand the question?
Mm-hmm.
So mikol mokim, nevertheless, this is the pshat shituf. Aydei shituf midas arachim midas adin geidim shlo yimshach einika rak b'kedusha. By there being the sort of the dual functions of both din and rachamim, it causes there is the hamshacha from rachamim, from chachma, from havaya. Yeah? But it goes through midas adin to the right place. So midas adin still functions as sort of a tzimtzum, or as a tzimtzum in the sense of a facilitating that the Eir should only go to the right place. Because mitzad, the Eir itself, it makes no difference where it goes to. So that's why you need to have the shit of Midas Harachim. So in the first pshat, why do you need to have the Midas Adin B'chlal? Of course you need to have the Midas Adin. The whole purpose is the Midas Adin according to the first pshat. You still need to have all the milas that come from Midas Adin. The people should be obedient. The people should be able to tachas avodah. The people should be able to do all these things. That's why you need Midas Adin. You just need Midas Harachamim to scale back or to wind down the extremities of the Shluchi Din. That's what the Midas Harachamim is doing in the first pshat. But in the second pshat, what is the Midas Harachamim doing? In the second pshat, the Midas Harachamim is changing the whole project. Now it's a Gilu Midas Harachamim. Now there's no Tzimtzum V'Hester. You've changed the whole Kavanah. No longer is there Helen V'Hester and Likus. You thought you could create the world of Helen V'Hester so everyone could have Avedis and Nisyonis. Doesn't work. Not only does it not work, it means that there's such a unika to the Chitzonium. There's Teubei V'Cheshech. So you know what? Now we're going to have Midas Harachamim instead, where there's Poshet Gilu Oir, and then there won't be any Klippa. You won't have the mile of Avedis and Nisyonis. No, it wasn't going to work anyway. So now your question is, what about Midas Adin? That's why you need Midas Adin. You need Midas Adin to make sure it doesn't just become a free-for-all, so that you end up, getting rid of the whole Helen V'Hester, but then Chatoin Skin. Like we said, end up being that everyone's going to be, that everyone can do whatever they like, because there's no control. So you still need Midas Adin to keep everything in control.
What was the Yastal issue with there being a Gil of Chochmah, which would allow them the Midas Adin to bolster its strength?
Say that again.
We asked the last penultimate line. Saying that
since not possible Midas Adin, possible as Teo V'Cheshech, the Klippus.
We said that Chochmah it doesn't make differentiation. It gives to everyone. It's very nice. Mm-hmm. In which case, it's an issue because then the Klippa wouldn't be this battle. It's right. Stronger. Which we see the big Gilu of Chochmah. There'd also be,
just like we say, there's two ways a Klippa can be makabel. The Klippa can be makabel sai from Tzimtzum, on side from the Makif. This would be like being makabel from the Makif, where the Makif is not.
So what's the answer?
Differentiate. The answer is that's why you have shittas Midas Adin. You're right. It's taka problem. That's why you need to have shittas Midas Adin. You can't just have Midas Harachamim. There has to be the Midas Adin. And the Midas Adin. What? It is Chochmah, but it's Chochmah going to the right place. So you have the Maila of Midas Adin, which is able to differentiate who it goes to.
Okay. Best of both worlds.
Cake and eat it, right?
Okay.
Now it's going to explain a bit more. This doesn't need to be a separate paragraph. Don't think you're going into a different thing. You're going in the same flow of the discussion. Consider this one long paragraph. And what is the shirish of this inyan? The Midas Harachamim Yeshu Gilu Eir Avul B'chinas Makif Ashasham Kachashecha Ka'ir. Like I said, yeah, that this Gilu Eir is like a Makif where there's darkness and light, the same thing. The Makif is not sensitive to the specifics of where the Eir is going to. Through shit of Midas Harachamim Midas Adin, you don't just have Midas Harachamim, you don't just have the Makif. The Makif now comes in the Pnimius. Midas Adin is the Keiches Pnimium. And when it comes to the Pnimius, it goes to the right place. The Eir only goes to the side of Kedusha. Now this is one long paragraph, one long bracket, that goes all the way down to the end of more or less the end of the paragraph, except for to the penultimate line. See the end of the bracket and the penultimate line? So let's just finish the paragraph without the brackets. And that's why specifically through Havaya Ve'elikim, not just Havaya by itself, Shit of Midas Harachamim B'Midas Adin, It gives the hasbara why, specifically according to the second pshat, the function of midas hadin, because the pshat of this, according to this, so you've got to learn those three Maimorim Shuvi Yisrael very well in order to be able to rock backwards, unfortunately, the two Pirushim. So according to the Pirush HaSheni, it seemed to be saying that now midas harachamim is, you saw that midas hadin doesn't work, so you replace it with midas harachamim. But then you have a different problem that you're not solving. So therefore, you still have to have midas hadin. You have to have a hasbara why you still need the midas hadin. And that's what we've just explained. Why it's b'yem asois havaya elikim. It's not b'yem asois havaya. It's havaya and elikim. All the problems that elikim would have caused by itself have now been resolved. And the problems that havaya would have created by itself have now been resolved by them being together. Need to have both. And this is what this bracket is going to explain in some more words. But that's Nakuda.
To be with Dyke that says Havaya Elikim, it doesn't say Havaya Ve'elikim. That it's a...
That one is not better than the other. You're saying that one is not a suffer to the other.
No, it's not that they work individually.
Oh yes, Havaya Elikim, yeah, like Kel Eileh.
It's mamish, merging forces.
Yeah. So let's look at the bracket. The Yesh Loimed the Klolase Ininu Kach. The Mechinas Chesed Verachamim. The Yesh Bechinas Gilu Eir. That from the perspective of Chesed and Rachamim, so the Tzad Yamin, where it's all Gilui, it's not Tzimtzum, it's not Hester, there wouldn't be made any clips in Sitra Achra. In Seder Shtalshlus we're talking about here. From the right side, you're not going to get, we were talking about how is it possible from Kedusha you could get all these clips in Sitra Achra. All of those things, where do they come from? They come from the Sat Smel, from Gevura. But from Chesed and Rachamim, the Tzad Yamin, there wouldn't be. There won't be nishtalshul from Gilul Oir. There's not going to be nishtalshul. This is Oir Pnimi now. We're not talking about Oir and Oir Makif. No Pnimi. Chesed Atzilus, Tiferes Atzilus. There's not going to be through multiple nishtalshulus and the outcome is not going to be klippa. Because it's chesed, it's etzem tchuna, it's gilu oy. Where there's gilu oy, the oy is only in the skala, b'mokim haroy, the oy is only in the skala where there's bittul. And so it wouldn't happen. K'mich kosav ramaz, pasha b'kud the rishchavtalad on the base, shayimin, ein mimenu klippa. Right? So the Ramaz says this in his Pirush of the Zohar. That from the Yamin, from the Sad Yamin, there won't be any klippa. Omnam. However, Kushan is Haveh once the Ra has already been created. How? Bishtalshlus bebechinas midzadin from the Tzad Smol. Like we've described at length how that can happen. Yecholim nisvel is a menagid. She'enim ispol is chesing. Then, post facto, once they already exist, the Tzad Yamin are able to tolerate the Ra that has been created, and there isn't any great urgency to remove it, to destroy it. Because it's not tefus, it's not so tefus makim. Why can it tolerate it? It's not because it accepts it, it thinks it's a good thing. It has one tefus makim by the Tzad Yamin. Here is talking only b'chitzonius, where chasheicha keira. Forget about that for a moment. By yidei shit of midas harach and midas hadin, nimshach liya is hamshachas ha'ei b'mokim haroi davke. And it's through the shituf of the two stadim, the Tzad Yamin and Tzad Smol, Rachamim and Din, it's nimshach that it should go to the right place. And anything that isn't royal should be removed. So that's the benefit of them coming together. Omnam the yoyf the midas hadin u b'chinas hestavat tzimtzum sha'ayidei ribuat tzimtzum yichlin gam him lekabel va'oid zoyf the midas hadin u ledaktik b'yoysa v'gam shamayim leizachel be'enov שנקרא גם כן אין רוי עדיין, וכנ"ל שהדקדוק כל כך שלא יהיה תשובה, כי אם נפש אחיתס חולי. If we were to leave it midas adin alone, you need to have midas adin to make a judgment, right? Of what is right and what is wrong, what is good and what is bad.
Okay.
From the tzad yamin, there isn't this interest in deciphering what is good and what is bad. Doesn't engage in that. It's not structured in such a way. Its characteristics, personality. The personality of Yamin is not to be focused or concerned about those things. So you need to have Midas Hadin. Midas Hadin, which on the one hand is the source of all the problems, is also, from a Kedusha perspective, at the state, before it's nishtalshul through all the tzimtzumim and everything, and you get this Metzias Hara. From Midas Hadin's perspective, the whole point of Midas Hadin is to, not just to be evil, is to promote goodness, right? Promote goodness by, if necessary, punishing, if necessary, deciding what is right and what is wrong. But why does it want to decide what's right and wrong? Because it wants to promote Kedusha. That's how it promotes Kedusha. That is Gevura. You know, why do we call these spirits and Atzilis all these names? So it's a mosh, right? We understand, these are Tchunas HaNefesh that we understand. And we're able to comprehend that there is a structure in Atzilis which has a Yamin and a Shmal. And the outcome of this Shmal is a situation where there's right and there's wrong. And you do the right things, you're rewarded. If you do the wrong things, you get punished. That is Midas Hadin B'Hamishpat. Right? So you need to have Midas Hadin in order to decipher where the Eileh is going to go to. But if you have too much Midas Hadin gets carried away with itself. Then there's going to be extreme tzimtzumim. And when there's extreme tzimtzumim, the very things that you're trying to obliterate are able to function. Right? It's a catch-22 in some sense.
Which sort of Midas Hadin? There's a tzimtzum on everyone else, if there's a tzimtzum on yourself.
Through Midas Hadin v'hat tzimtzum.
On what?
That ultimately,
on the Eileh, on the people.
The Eileh.
Right.
The Eileh gets nisamtzim, then they'll be able to be makabel. This is all according to the second pshat. Va'oid zois, and furthermore, according to the first pshat, the Midas Hadin uladaktik b'yoseh. Midas Hadin is also very exacting. To the point that Gam Shemaim le'zachol beinav, like we quoted in Shuvi Yisrael, we quoted that even heavens would never be pure and zeicha in its eyes. Shenikra gam kein ein roi adain kanal shadik the kol kash l'yoyid tshuva, that it can be so strict gvura v'tzimtzum to the point where tshuva won't even be won't be acceptable. What's pshat? You did something wrong, and what? Then you have a get out of jail card free pass. How can you get out? You did something wrong. You have to be punished. That is Midas Hadin v'dikduk. It's black and white. That is the way it works according to the first pshat. That's how we interpreted Midas Hadin. Kim nefesh achitas. You're gonna have everyone's gonna be a sinner. Not we need to be punished. So you can't. So Midas Hadin, which is the only mechanism by which we can clarify and differentiate between right and wrong, is also the system by which wrong gets all of its prominence and permanence. So when you have this Gilui of Midas Harachim, Midas Hadin, the shit of Midas Harachim, Midas Hadin, Oz Niskam Beis Advarim, you solve both problems. The Al Yidei Gilu B'chinas Midas Arachamim, that when there's a Gilui, then Ein Hester V'Tintzum. You no longer have an extreme Hester and Simson and Midas Adin. Ki Mei Gilui, the Eirin is Iskale, Hari Einim Yechin Lekabel Misham, and they're not able to be Mekabel from that Gilui. And that which we said that the Midas Arachim, what do you mean they can't be Makabel from the Gilu? Surely the Gilu from Rachim they can be Makabel because it's a Makif which is able to tolerate that which opposes it. Then Midas Adin can function to be the person, the force that applies and apportions the Gilu. But because Midas Adin, and now we're flipping back to, that's all according to the second pshat of Hester, yeah? That all fits into the second pshat. Now he brings in the first pshat. But Midas Adin is very strict, and no one's ever going to be deserving of anything according to Midas Adin. Because Midas Adin thinks we'll find something wrong in everyone and everything. Because it's medaktik b'yoser. The Midas Arachim then comes and softens the strictness.
The Midas Adin.
Haven't we
been there already?
So it's just showing you how the shituf, how it benefits each other. The whatever's in the sitra of kedusha, the side of kedusha will get the oil, and you don't have to look into every nook and cranny about why it should or it shouldn't. What is the side of kedusha? That means neshamas Yisrael. So they all deserve to get the gilu. Why? Because they're from the side of kedusha. And that which you're going to find that there is some element of chet and ovin in the neshamas Yisrael. You don't have to call that, declare that to me. Oh, no longer a kli kibble. You're not kliyaro. Don't deserve to have the gilu according to Midas Adin. No, you don't have to go to such a thing, because like we brought from the Maharal Miprog earlier, when it comes to a yid, when there's a chet v'avin, it's only a daven neisaf. It's something superficial to the person. It's not fundamental to who they really are, because who they really are is something from Tzaddik Kedusha. That's why tshuva can work, because your tshuva, you're only dealing with things that are dvarim chitzoni.
Does this have connection to Perikov Tanya, where it talks about Ani?
Yeah, we've quoted Perikov Tanya before. Yeah, if you remember. So we have to chazon. Mitzad atme harim ru'im legilu, and they in themselves are deserving to receive the oil. Only something which is not roy mitzad atme, only something which in and of itself doesn't deserve the gilu. And those things which are fundamentally ra, then lo yumshach klal, the oil should not be nimshach to them. And this helps Midas Adin. Midas Adin can function to making a general chalukah from sitra dikdusha and sitra dra. Okay, but we don't want Midas Adin to go over the top and start picking on everyone, because then everything on the side of kedusha would also be found wanting. Won't be good enough. That you need the Midas Arachimim to temper it, so it shouldn't be a Midas Adin of an extreme nature. But in the Yidden, in the Yisrael, the Shamas Yisrael, there should be the Gilu. Okay, and that was the bracket that elaborated on the Kud it was pointing out. Okay, Siyam Amayim. Umizayuvan Inyan Rosh Hashanah. And from this we can understand the Inyan of Rosh Hashanah. We're already holding Pasha Bereshis, you know,
Never too late.
It all comes together. I tell you why. There's a good reason for bringing this up now. So Yom Hadin, we say Rosh Hashanah is a Yom Hadin.
Why?
And at the same time we say V'u Yom Tov Chag. At the same time it says, how can a Yom Hadin be a Yom Tov? What are you celebrating? It's a judgment day. Eileh. It's because they shit of midas harachim the midas hadin because through the blowing of the shofar, you cause there should be. We don't say midas hadin is a terrible thing. And tkiyah shofar, you have amtokas akvuris, you have the gilu of rachamim, and it's all good. Olam kisei din, v'yeshu b'kisei rachamim. Goodbye kisei din. We don't need kisei din. No, that's not the pshat. The pshat is there's a shit of a midas hadin as rachamim. We can celebrate a Yom Adin. Why can we celebrate a Yom Adin? Because once you have the shit of midas rachamim from the tkiyah shofar, then you need the midas adin to make sure it goes to the place where it's supposed to go. We don't want it to be midas rachamim, and then you can end up causing all the problems that you had in the first place, of the proliferation of klippa and sitra achra and ra. You need the midas adin to say, 1 second, this gilu which is coming from midas rachamim should go to the right place. According to the second pshat, and according to the first pshat, you need it. So there shouldn't be. You need.
Not really. People not be beaten up for minor crimes. That's the first pshat.
No, this is the diktuk. You need the midas adin to be medactic, to split up, so it does go to the right places. Yeah. That's when you according to the first pshat. To be medactic, that it should. There should be a
should go to the right place. Mm-hmm. The second pshat. The second pshat, which says that the midas harachamim is gilui of and not a tzimtzum on Hashem himself. Here, in the second pshat, that midas adin would serve the purpose of not having too much gilui. That there should still be a certain.
So you want there to be a lot of gilui. You're not stopping the gilui. You're not reducing the gilui. You're just directing the gilui.
So the second pshat is directing the gilui. And the first pshat is also
not being too nice.
Shouldn't be saved with the menagid.
So l'layeta chaton sagin.
Right. So azay midas hadin shenimtak goyrem shel yimshach hashpa mi midas harachamim leklipis ki marachamim yimshach lesitri kedusha davke. So that's why it's yom hadin and it's a chag v'yomtiv. U'kumesha bikas Meisha v'niflinu ani v'amcha. Chuli. Right? What did Meisha ask? Meisha asked that he wanted a promise from Hashem that he will be nisgala to him. And one of the things Meisha asked is, so it should be v'niflinu ani v'amcha. So in your people should be v'niflinu. We should be set. We should be distinguished. And this is the whole point. There has to be this hafroda of the sitra d'ikdush and the sitra d'ra.
What's an appointment?
The request is that you want it to be the hashpah should go to the right place. Like it says in Shir Hashirim that the kala says to the chassan, this is in the same perek as Basi Legani, Doidi, so the kala, which is a nimshal to Neshama Yisrael, to Knesset Yisrael, says to Hashem, my beloved should be tzach va'adim, should be white and rugged, or ruddy, or something. I mean, they type it up as. And then, so it says in the Medrash, tzach li, for me, he should be white, meaning Hashem should be white to us, which is pure, and sort of the hashbah should come to us. But odim and ruddy, meaning like sort of rugged, does
it mean red?
Red, yeah, red and rugged, like sort of it's a sign of roughness. So for us it should
severity.
Be
Midas hadin.
Precisely. And similarly, the end of Ne'ilah is with the Hegvuris. Look up the Alter Rebbe's mind about that. But Zeu Inyan Gimel Svarim Yitachim Rosh Hashanah, and this is what it means when it says 3 Svarim are open Rosh Hashanah. Tzadikim Nichtav Na'alta L'chaim, immediately the Tzadikim go to written down for life. Rishonim Nichtav Na'alta L'misa, and the Rishonim immediately written L'misa. Why? Shezeu Inyan Eileh told this, because this is what we mean. Eileh Pasal Teiv V'Avayu. That on Rosh Hashanah you blow the shofar, you have the shit of Midas Arachim, Midas Adin, and immediately the hashbah goes to the right place, and is not given to the wrong place. So immediately, Pasal is the Rishonim, Pasal Tova v'Cheshech, the Rishonim and Nichtav in the Misa. That's why you make such a yontav out of Yom Adin. Because the Ika Inyan of judgment on Rosh Hashanah is like it says in the Medrash, you have two people by way of Moshul going in front of a judge. So too the Yidden and the Eidei Kacham Mazolis, they come before the Eibishter on Rosh Hashanah. So on Rosh Hashanah what happens is you have this Havdalah, this distinction between where the judgment should be on the Yidden, on the Shams Yisrael, and the Eidei Kacham Mazolis. And that is done through Eidei Shit Mitzvah Rachmim B'Din, through being the Shit Mitzvah Rachmim B'Din. And it's goyim, it causes that there should be this niflinu ani ba'am.
That's from the first pshat, right? That we have Mitzvah Rachma, we need Mitzvah Din to be medactic, kind of, like so that they go to the right place. I wouldn't actually know it's no, it's not.
This is why you need the chazar and get clarity. The two things are intermingled a bit over here, so you need to have a clarity. What is the issue? The first pshat issue, the second pshat, because it's just going to get more and more like that. We're
rough terrain.
Rough terrain, indeed. Now, just want to say something about this maimah. I would say of all the maimarim, even more so than the second maimah, this maimah is the sort of the hard in the sense of structure. It's not. I wouldn't say in the Havana.
It's quite hard.
Maybe.
Beginning is switch.
Meaning that the flow of the maimah is not as smooth as the other maimarim, where you feel like the thing's going. You've got to work a bit harder. I don't think it hasn't got as natural a flow as the other maimarim do, and that makes it a little bit more difficult. And it's shorter, but there needs to be a chazara of this maimah before we can go on to the next maimah. You know, in Ranat there was a hafsak of the hemshekh because of Hichaltzu being in Pashas Noach. Hichaltzu was repeated. The Hichaltzu of Simchas Torah, and so the next maimah is from Pashas Lech Lecha. And if you look in the sichas in the back, the sikh of the Frierdiker Rebbe, this was noted as a particularly difficult maimah, and a lot harder. And there was an old chassid who came to Lubavitch who struggled to understand the maimah. He wasn't like someone who had a Yiddish chassidus, but it was a reflection about how the Rebbe Shav's chassidus had gone up a level. Frierdiker Rebbe writes how there was a change in the style of the chassidus, and it was the bachrim, the tzir of the bachrim explaining to this old chassid the meaning of the maimah and the chazara, helping him understand what the meaning of the maimah was, so that the tables had sort of been turned. That the young bachrim had become at the front line of Yediyah in Askol of chassidus. Good. So I'd like you to do a chazara of this, just so you can have a little bit of control of what's coming next, and it's start to think yourself about what are we doing when we're doing the shit of Midas Harachim. What are we? Are we watering down the Midas Adin? Are we moderating the Midas Adin? Are we ignoring the Midas Adin? What is each one providing? And that's what you get a lot here at the end, and a sense of it will help you prepare for the next part of the hemshekh, about which is really in the thick of it, of what is the shit of Midas Harachim. Midas Adin. Because if you, yeah, all right, we'll leave it there. Should be good.